Hi friends, welcome back. Today we're reading chapter 2 of the last of the really great Whangdoodles. I am feeling kind of cozy today. How about you? Sometimes when I feel cozy when I'm reading, I really like to get comfortable. That could mean that I'm sitting with a blanket or on some squishy pillows, or sometimes it means that I put on a really comfy, cozy hoodie and get all warm and relax for a story. So that's what I'm going to do today. Do you remember who we met last chapter? Do you remember the name of the characters? You do? Perfect. Me too. Do you remember the character that we didn't learn their name? That's right. He was just called the Stranger. We really don't know much about him yet. Let's see if we can learn some more in chapter 2. What's going to happen for Tom, Lindy, and Ben? Let's check it out. Tom turned to Lindy in annoyance. Boy, Lindy, you are the end. You talked and talked to that man. I don't think we should have encouraged him. He seemed as nutty as a fruitcake. Oh, I liked him, Lindy said defensively. Did you notice he was wearing blue and white striped socks? Ben laughed. I wonder if he was joking when he said there was something called a Whangdoodle. I'll bet he wasn't, said Lindy. I'll bet he was, countered Tom. Anyway, I'm going to look that word up in the dictionary when we get home. Lindy peered out into the rain. The bus was passing a large park, and on the other side of it, half obscured by trees, she saw a tall, thin house with shuttered windows. Pointing to it, she asked Tom, "Is that place really haunted?" "Sure." "Who lives there?" "A terrible ogre and a witch with yellow fangs." "Well, nobody's sure about that," Ben said. "But most people stay away from there, Lindy, especially on Halloween." "Well, it wouldn't scare me," she declared. "I don't believe in ogres, just fairies." "You mean you wouldn't be scared to go up and knock on the front door?" Tom asked. "Not at all," she said. "I bet you would." "I wouldn't," Lindy raised her chin defiantly. "Well, I'll make you a bet. I'll bet you 5 cents that you won't go and knock on the front door of Stone House on Tuesday night," said Tom. "Pfft, that's not a good bet," Lindy hedged. "Then I'll make it 25 cents. The little girl hesitated. She wanted more than anything to join her brothers this year for Halloween, but she wasn't at all sure that she'd have the courage to do what Tom had suggested. Besides, which 25 cents represented her week's allowance. "You see, you are scared," Tom said triumphantly. "No, I'm not," she declared loudly. "It's a bet." "Stop it, you two. You're both being stupid." That wasn't very kind. Ben said that. "Don't look at me," she said. "She's the one who started it. I goofed. Let me rewind a little bit. "Stop it, you two. You're both being stupid," Ben said. "Don't look at me. She's the one who started it. If she's too scared to do it, then why doesn't she say so?" "I am not too scared," she said. "Okay." Ben threw up his hands in disgust. "But remember, Mom will probably make the final decision about it anyway." The subject came up again that night at dinner. "Lindy, what would you like to do about trick-or-treating this Halloween?" Mr. Potter asked. Lindy looked at her brothers. Tom stopped eating and watched her intently across the table. "I was wondering if I could go with Tom and Ben." Mrs. Potter looked at her sons. "What do you boys think?" "Well, I don't know," replied Ben. "It's fine for the other two. I mean, they just have to tag along and everything. But I'm always the one who has to be in charge. I mean, look at today. I was constantly watching out for Lindy and trying to stop her and Tom arguing." Mr. Potter smiled. Tough being the oldest, isn't it? Accepting responsibility is quite a chore sometimes. It is, Ben agreed solemnly. But that's part of growing up, I'm afraid. Part of being 13 years old. Ben considered this, and Lindy held her breath. We met the funniest little man there, Lindy suddenly remembered. He told us about an animal called a Whangdoodle. Have you ever heard of it, Daddy? A Whangdoodle? No, I can't say that I have. What is it? I don't know. He said it looks a little bit like a horse, but it has horns. I don't think there is such an animal, said Tom. I told him so. I said to look it up in the dictionary when we got home. Well, go ahead, look it up then, said Mr. Potter. Tom ran into his father's study and took from a large shelf a heavy black dictionary that had obviously seen a great deal of use. He carried it carefully back into the living room and placed it on the table. The children gathered around him as he thumbed through the tissue-thin pages. Where are we? Okay, W, okay, yeah, and then watch band, waybill, webbing, Wessex, West Orange, whammy. Ah, here we are, he cried excitedly. Whangdoodle. Ooh, what does it say? Lindy said, and she pushed in close. It says, noun, slang, a fanciful creature of undefined nature. Tom looked it up. What the heck does that mean? Mr. Potter rose and knocked his pipe against the side of the fireplace. It probably means that a Whangdoodle is a made-up word for some kind of imaginary creature, which I would think is why the dictionary uses the word fanciful to describe it. So I was right, Tom said. A Whangdoodle doesn't exist. Probably not, replied Mr. Potter. There you are, Tom turned to Ben and Lindy. I told you so. But you're not sure about that, Lindy protested. Yes, I am. I know that old man. I know he's a phony. Oh, he wasn't, Lindy turned to Ben. You don't think he was, do you, Ben? Oh, Lindy, who knows? But if he wasn't a phony or crazy or anything, then what do you suppose he meant by all his talk? We shall probably never find out, Mrs. Potter summed up. Come on, children. It's time to get ready for bed. Do you believe that a Whangdoodle could be real? Maybe you should try looking up in a dictionary. Do you have a dictionary at home? Check it out. Thanks for tuning in, friends.